Do you think we can bring this Stegosaurus back to life? And if we're lucky, maybe a little childhood wonder too. Welcome back, time travelers. Today, we'll be breathing life into Aocon's 1/18 scale Stegosaurus stenops. More on that later. Renowned paleoartist Shane Folks once told me that he likes to do his modeling and pattern work before applying a transparent base coat, depending on the colors he's using. So I decided to give it a try. I like it. It's a really cool technique. But just not for this paint job. I'll have to save it for a future project. In this case, a transparent layer just wasn't enough to achieve the color I had in mind. That being said, finding the right shade of purple turned out to be much more difficult than I expected, and I'd have to go through several iterations before landing on a color that I was happy with. I'd pushed the dark purples a little too far, so I went back and reapplied a cream white modeling that gave me a chance to rework the surface and bring back some of the translucency that makes layered skin feel so lifelike. I kept going back and forth on the base color, cooling the purples down, then warming them back up, until it finally felt right. Yeah. The tail felt a little too uniform, so I added a few subtle stripes to introduce just a touch more variation. Now came one of the most recognizable features of all. Big old Stegos iconic plates. I wanted to avoid the stereotypical red or orange. I wanted something that would complement the purple tones of the body. So instead, I chose a warm cream white. Once that was in place, I feathered the edges with a touch of dark brown to emphasize the contours and give each plate a little more definition. And now to give each plate a little more character, I added this stripe-like pattern to break up the warm cream tones. It also serves a practical purpose, helping the plates function as camouflage for a living animal in a living environment. And I only had to do that for both sides of each 19 plates. Thanks, Aocon. And I briefly considered including the complete footage of me painting every single one. But I figured causing an extinction event among my YouTube followers was a poor growth strategy. So I did it on my own time, painstakingly. You know what's not painstaking? Moving your mouse down and clicking the subscribe button below. Now, I caught myself thinking, this is going surprisingly smoothly. And that's when fate said no. No, no, no. As I was painting the plates, our Stegosaurus suddenly toppled over. Yeah. Looking back, I probably should have expected it. Because this is Stegosaurus stenops, not stand-up. And now, also bald. Once the emotional damage had been more or less dealt with, I turned my attention to the shoulders. I added these white markings along the back to break up the uniform darkness around the shoulders. Up until this point, it still felt like I was painting a model. But with each new marking, it started to feel less like pigment on resin, and more like the unique patterns the Stegosaurus had carried with him his entire life. With the larger patterns established, it was time to start giving his face a little more character. I started adding little spots to gently define the contours of our protagonist's skull. It's funny how these tiny details can completely change the way you look at a piece. These markings begin to feel like the scars, freckles, and subtle variations that only a life well lived could create. Now, I had an important decision to make. Either I fix that broken plate, or I rename this Stegosaurus Dwayne Johnson. I decided to fix the plate. No offense to Dwayne Johnson, who I'm sure is watching this video. Not quite like the original, but it'll have to do. And now for some paleo-ophthalmology. This is the moment the dinosaur is no longer being looked at. It begins to look back. Suddenly it's watching the wind ripple through ferns, following the flight of a dragonfly, or listening for the snap of a branch somewhere beyond the tree line. I know what you're thinking. That resculpted plate is a bit of an eyesore, isn't it? I did consider reworking it, but there was a chance it would delay the release of this video by another week, and I just couldn't do that to you guys. Alright, fine. I'll rework it. Happy? A pair of Mesodactylus make their home along this quiet Jurassic river. One keeps watch from a fallen log, while the other glides silently above the water. Behind them is Barney. As night settles over the floodplain, Barney stands quietly in the cool waters of the river. For a moment, the world is peaceful. But then the forest changes. The insects fall silent, and only the gentle rush of the river breaks the silence. A single branch snaps somewhere behind the ferns. Barney slowly lifts his head and turns toward the sound. Something is there, hidden, watching. But whatever it is never reveals itself. And the river keeps flowing. The forest slowly finds its voice again. And somewhere in the late Jurassic, life simply goes on.